Okay. Next in economics, we're going to talk about college grants and loans. Our goal is to recognize the different types of student loans and financial aid. Look at your vocabulary words. The interest is added to the principal amount of your loan is capitalized. Failure to fulfill a financial obligation is default. Official permission to postpone the payments of a loan is deferment. The assumed amount that the family will contribute to the student's college tuition is expected family contribution. Assistance from the government, which is not to be repaid, is a federal Pell Grant. Government financial help, it may be in the form of a grant or a loan, is federal student aid. Financial assistance for the potential college student is financial aid. A time when there is no obligation to repay your loan is a grace period. A percentage of the amount loaned, which is a charge for the use of the money, is interest. A loan where you will not be charged any interest before you begin repayment is subsidized. A loan that will charge you interest from the start is unsubsidized. Bob had flyers, bulletins, and folders spread out all over the kitchen table. "What's this one?" asked his younger brother. "Tim, that," replied Bob, "is probably the most important piece of paper on this table right now." "Whoa," said Tim. "What is it? A special course? A letter from the college president?" "No, none of those," answered Bob. "It is my financial aid information." Bob made a good point. Getting the funds needed to attend college is a vital part of the homework of a prospective student. Perhaps one of the most difficult steps for a teen entering college is that of getting the financial base to start his education. Tuition costs, book fees, dorm expenses, and many other factors can appear intimidating to the prospective college student. It is where many teens simply give up and forget a post-high school education. Other teens, however, buckle down and get an extra summer job or after-school work in order to reach their goal. God is pleased with the Christian who goes the extra mile to be financially responsible. Working hard is an honored task. Proverbs 14:23 says, "In all labor there is profit, but the talk of the lips tendeth only to penury." The hard worker will be able to meet many financial goals. However, sometimes even a hard worker needs a little help. Okay, so let's go ahead and put our date in our notes. Okay, financial base. For college. Bob worked hard all summer. He was up at 4 a.m. each morning to make deliveries for a local soft drink company. Earlier that year, he had finished the school semester by working evenings at a feed mill. Bob had saved as much as possible, but was still hundreds of dollars short of getting into college for his freshman year. Through persistent efforts, he was able to obtain some loans, which made it possible for him to complete 4 years of college. Most students who want to attend college are seeking some type of financial aid. Okay, so let's talk about financial aid. In almost every case, this monetary aid is awarded on the basis of financial need. One of the types of help you may be able to get is federal student aid. When you apply for federal student aid, the information they ask you to give is used in a special equation set up by the U.S. Congress. The equation figures out your expected family contribution, which is an amount that you and your family are expected to give toward your education. Okay, so we're going to talk about federal student aid. Federal student aid. Okay, and we said that they have the U.S. Congress set up an equation which figures out your expected family contribution. Expected family contribution. And that's the amount that you and your family are expected to give towards your education. You will be considered eligible for federal Pell Grant if your EFC is below a certain level. And if you meet all of the other eligibility requirements. Your EFC is used in an equation to figure out your financial needs. It's broken down into a simple equation. Cost of attendance minus expected family contribution equals financial need. Okay, so we said the equation is cost of attendance, that's your college costs, your dorm costs, even your food costs, cost of attendance minus expected family contribution, I'm going to put EFC here, equals your financial need. Your financial aid counselor or your guidance counselor will help calculate your cost of attendance and then will subtract the amount you and your family will be expected to contribute toward that cost. If there's any left over, that amount is your financial need. Your financial aid counselor will also see if there is other aid you're expected to receive. The financial aid counselor will try to get a figure that comes as close as possible as meeting your college financial needs. However, because only so much is available in the way of college funding, the amount awarded to you may not be the entire amount for which you are eligible. Okay, you can get the EFC formula book. Okay. The U.S. government offers some students a federal Pell Grant, which is not a loan. Okay, so we said we're going to talk about the financial base for college, talked about financial aid, there's federal student aid, the U.S. Congress set up an equation which figures out your expected family contribution, and the equation is the cost of attendance minus your EFC, expected family contribution, equals your financial need. Okay, now there's difference between grants and loans. Let's talk about Pell Grants, federal Pell Grants. Okay, A grant means you don't have to pay it back. You have to pay back a loan. You don't have to pay back a grant. The federal Pell Grant does not have to be repaid. Not everyone can get a federal Pell Grant. You must be an undergraduate student who has not earned a bachelor's degree. Pell Grants provide financial starting line by which other financial aid packages could be added. You may receive no more than one Pell Grant a year, which in the 2004-05 award year was $4,050 per year. A number of factors were taken into account. What is your EFC? How much is your cost of attendance? Are you a full-time or part-time student? These and other factors are considered if you want to receive a Pell Grant. You will receive the money either by having the fund accredited to your school account, by being paid directly, or by a combination of the two methods. Okay, so some stipulations for getting a Pell Grant is you haven't got your bachelor's degree yet. Not received bachelor's degree. You can only receive one Pell Grant a year if you're taking classes from 2 different colleges. You can only get one Pell Grant a year, so you're going to have to figure that you're going to have to use that grant for both of them if you're going to more than one college at a time. What is your EFC is going to be a factor played in it. If you're a part-time student, you're not going to get as much as if you are a full-time student. So that plays a factor in it, whether you're part-time or full-time. Okay. And there are different ways that they can pay you. They can ways to receive the grants. They can accredit it to your school accounts. And I know that's not a credit, it just doesn't look like it's spelled right. They can accredit it to your school accounts. They can pay you directly. They can write you a check. They can, if you give them your bank account information, they can deposit it into your bank account, or any combination of those. Okay? So federal Pell Grant, you do not have to pay back a grant. Okay, it's yours. You don't have to pay back. Okay. Stipulations: you cannot get a Pell Grant if you've already received your bachelor's degree. You can only get one Pell Grant a year. It's based on your expected family contribution. It's based on whether you're part-time or full-time. Ways to receive the grant: they can accredit the money to your school account or pay you directly. The more grants you can get, there are other types of grants as well. The more grants you get, the better off you are, because you don't have to pay them back. Okay, there are two general types of loans you can get. Okay, two types of loans. College loans, such as Private USA Student Loan or the government's Direct or FFEL Stafford Loan, can be either subsidized or unsubsidized. Okay, so let's talk about subsidized. If you receive a subsidized loan, you will not be charged any interest before you begin repayment. No interest before you begin repayments. Okay. You will receive a subsidized loan based on financial need. Since the government knows you are trying to make ends meet, they subsidize the interest during these periods, meaning they will cover the cost of interest. You do not have to pay it. Okay, so this is based on financial need. Okay, now let's talk about unsubsidized. An unsubsidized loan is not interest-free. You will be applying for a loan that will charge you interest from the start. Okay, so this charges interest from the start. These types of loans are not awarded on the basis of need, so you need to be careful because you'll get all the unsubsidized loans that you want. You must be careful with this type of loan because you do not repay it off. Because if you do not repay it off soon enough, it will snowball. The interest will accumulate to a certain point and then will be capitalized, which means the interest is added to the principal amount of your loan, and even more interest will be based upon that higher amount. Of course, the amount you have to repay will have grown, so you must be careful to pay the interest as it grows, so you will have to repay less money overall. Okay, you need to remember these are loans. Okay, if you're not careful, it'll snowball, then it'll be capitalized. Which means they add the interest to your principal, which causes more interest. And that can double and triple really quick, so we need to be careful with that. Of course, just as you receive the privilege of a college loan, you must also bear the responsibility of repaying that loan. Two types of loans, and I'm going to put here on loans. You must repay them. There are subsidized loans, which means no interest before you begin repayment, and this is based on financial need. There are unsubsidized loans, which means it charges interest from the start, and you have to be careful because they'll snowball. They'll get bigger and bigger, and then they'll be capitalized, which means that interest will be added to the principal, which causes more interest. So you have to make sure we get these paid off. Of course, it is a sad fact that in America, millions of dollars in loans is defaulted every year by students who do not care to repay them. It's a duty of a Christian to pay back the college loans he receives. After you graduate from college or leave school, you will have around 6 months before you begin repayment on your educational loan. This open space of non-payment is called a grace period. Okay, let's talk about this. Okay. During the grace period on a subsidized loan, you are free from paying any principal. You are not charged interest. Okay, so let's talk about the grace period. It's usually 6 months. And this is after you graduate. So after you graduate, or you leave school,